let me first say, I'm very happy with all the members of this committee. There's a few people who I really loved who cruelly left us, and we will abuse them horribly when they come in here. And in any case, my name is Kumar Barve. You may have heard this. I've been in the legislature now this is my 32nd year. I was elected in 1990. Sitting next to me was this guy named Chris Van Hollen, who's now in the U.S. Senate, but I'm not bitter. So in any case, let me begin by just identifying some of the new folks who are in our committee for the first time. And we get Deborah Davis and Michelle Guyton, who are... Deborah, what committee were you on? Oh, so you made it over the fence. Great. Okay. And Michelle was from Ways and Means Committee that I was on for 8 years. I'm responsible for the election of Larry Hogan because I was the floor leader for all the tax increases. So I actually said this to Larry 8 years ago. I said, listen, Buster, you owe me big time. And he said, thank you so much for your service to the state of Maryland, Delegate Barber. We have a number of really terrific freshmen who have joined us, who are joining us now on this committee. And let's start with Jackie Addison. Jackie. And Nick Allen, who is, there we go. Terry Baker. Is Terry, all right, welcome to the committee. Jeff Long. Jeff Long, of course. Todd Morgan, who I think is not quite here yet. So, yes, he's 6'6", so he will stand out. Ryan Naraki, did I pronounce your name correctly? And Natalie Ziegler. Natalie, where are, there you are. So, again, I'm the chair. The vice chair is my very good friend, Dana Stein, who is one of the hardest working members of this committee. God knows I'm not. So, in any case, let me just quickly introduce you to the staff and make a few comments about, the philosophy we have in our committee. And let me start off with the chief of staff of the committee, Trish Gagnon. Trish, where are you? There, Trish. She's a person who's going to be hounding you for money for the snack fund. Front desk, Sia Fino. Sia, did I pronounce your last name correctly? Okay. Committee clerk, Rose Love. No relation to Delegate Love. Where's Rose? Oh, she's running the store right now. Okay. All right. Committee clerk, assistant, Zoom hearing host is going to be Trish or to be determined. So that person, we can't, Anyway, committee secretary, Mary Phillip, who I believe has been with this committee for how long now, Mary? Long time. Okay. So she knows all the tricks. Don't try to get anything past her. We have, every committee has lawyers who help us draft amendments and keep our subcommittees working properly, but we have three of the best, really. And they are Kristen Flynn, Patrick Tracy, and Matt Mickler. Matt, okay. Okay. And I mean, I will encourage you, if you ever have a question, certainly don't ask me because I don't know anything, but they know. I mean, this guy here knows the rules of the road, driving rules like the back of his hand. It's actually kind of frightening, but in any case, they all have subject. Typically, Kristen does the environmental stuff, and Matt does a lot of the housing stuff and real property stuff. They have other subject matters, but that's kind of the main areas that they are involved in, and they almost always know the answer right like that. So please do make use of them. They're terrific. Okay. We have Trooper Matt Mitchell. Are you around here? So, he didn't have to pistol whip anybody in the last 4 years. So let's see if we can keep that. He's one of the nicest individuals you ever meet. So also my legislative aide, Kathy McGinty Dunn. Kathy.
And Rose is right here. Rose Love.
Oh, Rose Love is here. There she is.
Yay, Rose.
And you want to introduce your folks?
Sure.
Hold on. I'm not sure. Here we go. New system. Okay.
Great. And I think you all know Margie Brazel, my legislative director. And Kathy Markey, who I'm sure you all remember from last year and year before, just last year, yeah. So it will be working with my office as well. And then my intern this year is a UMBC student, Malcolm Ostrander. So welcome, Malcolm.
All righty then, so let me introduce to you the subcommittee chairs for our committee. And we, all bills go through subcommittees, and that's where a great deal of the work gets done. Oftentimes, the work product of our subcommittees is always really stellar. Only occasionally, as a result of a voting session, do I need to send something back to a subcommittee for fine tuning. That's how great these people are. But we have some new folks, and Regina Boyce is going to be heading up Natural Resources, Ag, and Open Space. And Vaughn Stewart is going to be in charge of Land Use and Ethics. Vaughn, right there you are. Dana Stein is going to continue to be the subcommittee chair for Environment. Marvelous Marvin Holmes is going to continue to be in charge of Housing and Real Property. Sarah Love is our new motor vehicle and transportation guru. And Ann Healy, as always, is in charge of local governments and bi-county agencies. I haven't come up with the committee assignments yet, because for those of you who are completely new to the committee, please get with Trish, get on my calendar, and let's sit down and talk like civilized human beings so I can get a better understanding of where I think you will better fit. And we're not going to have public hearings on bills for another 2 weeks or so, right? Something like that? Okay, great. And so let me just say one very quick thing about our committee. We have always been really, really collegial. I try to hold an open mind on issues. I would advise all of you, especially the freshmen, to take the attitude of not committing your vote to anybody until you've sat through public hearing, because oftentimes you will hear things and learn things that you didn't know that will inform you as to what your opinion on the issues are going to be. So, everybody is going to want you to co-sponsor a bill or commit yourself to a bill, and try and put that off. Try and have an open mind until the public hearing. That is a skill that you're going to find that's going to come in very useful for you as delegates. Some of you are coming from county council settings, and so you are probably already know this from that background. It's often really important to sit and listen to people. Some of these bills are so complicated, and the philosophy I've tried to take, organizational pattern that we've had, is that witnesses have 2 minutes to testify. But I like to encourage people to ask questions. We learn more by asking questions than anything else. I won't mention any names, Jay Jacobs, but it's important for you to try to avoid giving a speech and then following it with, "Isn't that so?" And there are some people who ask an awful lot of questions, Regina Boyce, but they're always good questions. But there will be a moment when it's 7 o'clock in the evening, and I will say something to the effect of, we have 5 more bills, and it's 7 o'clock, and nobody's eaten dinner yet. And what I love about my committee is people are really quick on the uptake of these cues. So we will be having public hearings every day, Tuesday through Thursday, and toward the end of session on Friday. They will be at 1 o'clock. In the next week and a half or so, we're actually going to hear briefings from agencies, and it's a great opportunity for new folks to really ask some questions to understand what's behind the agencies. As of right now, we don't have cabinet secretaries, but a lot of the staff that you're going to be hearing from are people who have worked in those agencies for decades, and they're super knowledgeable about their subject matter. Witness sign-up. Trish, would you remind us what the witness sign-up procedure is? People are going to be signing up. Why don't you?
So witness sign-up last year, you go onto the ENT website. That includes sponsored bills that also. And just same thing last year, you have to do days before the hearing. So for a Monday hearing, Thursday for Friday. And that's all the same, but when you register, you'll notice that you can sign up testimony or a lot of.
No, that's good. We, because of the pandemic, we did Zoom public hearings for a great length of time, and we are now going into a hybrid system. And I'll be honest with you, Trish and I have really kind of looked at the way they've set it up. We're not exactly certain how it's going to work. So we're going to be feeling our way for the first couple of public hearings. We're going to start with briefings. I imagine some people might be briefing us. I know at least one person who's in Columbia University up in New York who's going to be doing a presentation, and he's obviously going to be doing it remotely. I'm not going to make him drive down to Annapolis. But in any case, that's how we're going to start. The committee briefings are going to start January 17th. And the first one's going to be at 11 a.m. I'm going to try and get you out of the committee and over to your offices as quickly as possible when we're doing these briefings. So just hurry over here. And by the way, it wouldn't be a legislative session if I didn't screw something up. And apparently this organizational meeting was supposed to be at 11. I called for it immediately after the floor session. I'm missing one member of the committee who I imagine probably is following instructions and showing up at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to have to go through all this. So it's really not his fault. It's my fault. We are going to be doing our subcommittees by Zoom. And we found that works really, really well. We found that it allows participants to participate really nicely. We used to do some of our subcommittee work sessions in the conference room, and it could get pretty jammed up with lobbyists and representatives and the like. So we're going to continue to do the Zooms for subcommittees. Let's see, voting is in person and as scheduled. So, we vote on Thursdays. Toward the end of session, as work starts to pile up, we will vote twice a week, and we'll sometimes vote on Fridays. Occasionally, we voted on a Saturday, but generally speaking, it's Thursdays. For my leadership group, which is all the subcommittee chairs and the Republican ranking member, Delegate Jacobs, we're going to continue to meet Wednesday evenings for anticipated Thursday voting sessions. So I'll get in touch with you on that soon enough. That's the leadership meetings. And snack beverages and the slush fund. So this is not a tax because I can't compel you, but I'm going to ask that every member of this committee make a donation of $50 and staff $25. We have a lunchroom back there. We do have snack and junk food because I think you're eating too well. We don't do any eating in the committee room during public hearings. I don't care how good that sandwich is. You have to eat it in your office or back in the snack room or, back in the committee office areas. So, $50 per and $25 per staff. And I always throw in a little extra. Don't make Trish have to come after you, Barry Siliberti. So, in any case, Dana, would you like to make some comments here? There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you've said it all, but Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, for the benefit of the freshmen, do you mind if I ask the chair of the Real Property Subcommittee what year ground rents were established? I'm a little bit fuzzy on that.
I think maybe Delegate Holmes can clarify.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. For you freshmen in the committee, there's a term called ground rents. And they were approximately established on June 20th, 1634 by King Charles I. Approximately. They are established because if you wanted to build your castle in the United States, you could build your castle, but the King of England still owned the land. Ground rents, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be bringing those to you often and frequently during this session.
In committee parties, we always have him play the part of King Charles I because of the uncanny resemblance. So anyway, any questions or thoughts or from you all? Oh, Delegate Lehman.
It's so good to be back here. Can you hear me okay? Am I
Yeah,
on?
gotcha.
And I hope I'm not like skipping ahead to something you were going to address later, but for those of us that are bringing back bills from last year, are you going to use the same rule of thumb that if we bring the bill back in basically the same form that it passed out of this committee, and that you'll try to expedite those?
Yeah, so what will often happen is, I like to joke that, you know, good bills take 3 years to pass, the bad ones we do right away. And so what would often happen is a delegate like Delegate Lehman will work really hard on a bill, and she will have worked out a compromise of some sort, and the bill comes out of the committee, it goes to the House floor, it goes out of the House, goes to the Senate, and there it sits doing nothing. And so what I've always encourage people to do is, if you have a bill that you worked out a compromise and it passed in a certain form in the House of Delegates and went to the Senate, bring that in early, and we will try to pass it as early as possible so that we can get our Senate colleagues to act upon it, as, you know, they didn't do it the prior year. So yes, absolutely. I mean, I want to encourage people to put together sensible compromises, and one of those encouragements is that those bills will be a top priority. Now, let me say one thing, that this is a little different this year because we have a different legislature. So a compromise that was done before the election is not going to be the same as a compromise. But from this year onwards, during this 4-year term, if you work out a compromise and you pass a bill from the House floor and it goes nowhere in the Senate, then yeah, bring it back as quickly as possible, and I want to move it as fast as I possibly can to help you out. Thank you for bringing that up, Delegate. Yes, Delegate Terrazzo, let me get you. There we go.
So in order to get us rolling on the right start, can we Venmo Trish? Yes, she said yes. So you'll let us know what your, I think I have you, but yeah, thank you. Excellent.
Right, cash,
did that.
cash continues to be king in the Environment and Transportation Committee. Any other, well, again, for those of you who are completely new to the committee, I think most of you are on my calendar already. But let's meet, and I just want to get a better understanding of what your interests are. Oh, Delegate Long.
Do you accept Cash App? Cash
What?
App?
Yes, cash is fine.
Cash App?
Oh, Cash App.
Got it, thank you.
Do you? Oh, well, no, you don't? Okay. Apparently not. Okay. So anyway, you know, so again, you know, I want to emphasize that, especially in this committee, we all have an open mind as to things. Don't assume that I'm going to be in a particular place because I'm a liberal Democrat from Montgomery County. You will find that I'm kind of iconoclastic in a lot of ways, and so are all of us. I mean, we work together really, really well in this committee, and that's a culture and a philosophy that I really do want to continue to maintain. So, Trish, have I forgotten anything? Because I typically. Yes. And, you know, I'm one of those, I actually liked Zoom. I especially like the fact that watermen and farmers on the Eastern Shore wouldn't have to drive in. And one of the courtesies I've always tried to extend to our friends from far-flung places like the Eastern Shore and Western Maryland is that I try to do those bills first so that they can get on the road, especially the ones who have to drive over the bridge. I just don't like the idea of people driving over the bridge when in the middle of winter when it's freezing cold and there's rain and stuff like that. I try to maintain that courtesy for our friends in far-flung places. So that's all I have, and we have this really remarkable guy who you will get to meet but he's not here because he's probably following my instructions, so it's my fault. So in any case, any other questions, thoughts, complaints, verbal abuse, anything at all? Oh, right. And Patrick is reminding me the most important fact, to get a bill out of this committee, you need 12 votes. So it's, so if 13 people show up and 12 of them vote for the bill, bill passes. So it's not a majority of those present, it's 12 votes? 12 votes, right. So it was 13 last year when we had 24 members. And committee amendments, though, pass on a straight majority of those present, which is the rule as it exists on the floor of the House. You need 71 votes to pass a bill, and for amendments, it's a straight majority of a present quorum. So that's it for me, I think. So I seem to have not forgotten anything, well, except for the 12-vote thing. It appears that I've forgotten less than I usually do. So listen, I am very excited. I've read your resumes, especially of the new people. Very excited you're on the committee. We have a lot of new people this year, but you're really all terrific. And I'm so glad to see the returning members who have really done a terrific job in so many other different ways. And so with that, we are adjourned.